Welcome to our last meeting of the year. Next week will be canceled since it's the holidays, and I suspect a lot of people will be off. I think it'll be a quick meeting today. We just have a few last things to go through for the year, a few last remaining releases. Feel free to add anything to the agenda. I already see some items added, so thank you. I guess we'll just kind of jump right in to some of the recent releases. Recore, we just cut a new release. There were just a few bug fixes that folks had reported. For those who are deploying Recore, there are two interesting changes. One is support for using S3 for attestation storage. And another is we've reworked our index storage and added an abstraction layer. It used to only be Redis, and now it can also be MySQL, but with this abstraction layer, it should be very easy to add more backends in if requested. So in production, we're still using Redis, but it's something where unless you're at very, very high scale, I imagine any search index storage backend should work. So if you are deploying Recore and you want to try that out, let us know if there's any issues. The other one is we cut a new cosign release, just a minor release. It includes some bug fixes that were reported. I think the most relevant thing would be that as part of our releases, we also cut new container builds at the same time. Tangentially, at some point, we'd like to separate these two so that we can very easily cut new containers, not coupled to releases, but for now, we release them at the same time. There was a report that the GitLab CI environment required a container with a shell. And I think either a release or two ago, we updated to a newer version of Distroless and removed shell. So for many use cases, people won't need shells. If you do need a shell now, there is a container with the dev suffix that will include a shell. So I think that's already being used by people who are releasing builds on GitLab CI. So give it a try. For clients, I don't know any other updates for any of the other clients. I don't believe there are any major releases for any of them. For Sigstore Go, there's active development on it. One thing I wanted to call out is that we had a PR submitted that gave an example of how to do OCI image verification with the library. It's a really great example. This is kind of an intermediate step. Our end goal, I didn't link to this bug here, but the goal is to add support for the new bundle format and start upgrading parts of Cosign to use Sigstore Go. So it will then be possible to do OCI verification using the newest bundle format in Cosign. But for now, this PR is a nice step to that. So roughly it reads in the OCI image and then parses the data into this bundle format in memory and then verifies it with Sigstore Go. So the difference with Cosign will just be that Cosign will now be able to write the bundle to disk or to the OCI image annotations, and then also read it in during verification. So give it a try if you'd like to try out the Sigstore Go library. And that's about it for clients. Paul, do you want to talk about infrastructure?
The only thing I had, and feel free to add anything if I missed it. We did this last year, but we start code freeze. We're going to do it December 18th to the January 2nd this year, just to minimize any changes to the infrastructure, barring, of course, some major SEV CVE or something. But reminder, everyone who takes the pager for the public good infrastructure is volunteers, so we're just trying to decrease the possibilities of interrupting everyone's holiday. So we'll pick up deploying new versions of Recore and Pulsio and everything January 2nd.
Thanks, Paul. And I don't on the PR approval side too. I don't expect too much to go through for the next few weeks again, barring some major issue that's found. There wasn't anything else I could think of for the infrastructure. I think in the early next year, we'll probably chat a little bit more about Tough. We're going to be migrating to a new, not necessarily I'll call it a platform for signing our tough metadata. So shouldn't be anything that's user facing, but it'll be a nice use case for this new tough on CI framework that we'll be using. Lisa, did you want to mention the case study?
Yeah, so I did mention it in the last meeting. There weren't a lot of attendees then, but there are not a lot of attendees now either. But we wrote, Patrick and I wrote up this case study, which is in the wiki of the docs repo under Sigstore. It has a lot of information, which I think is helpful for other folks who may want to stand something up like this. And as far as I know, the Google season of docs folks are going to also be compiling the case studies and sharing them. I think that this program was really great for Sigstore, and it's something that we may want to think about doing again next year. Like, it brought a lot of people into the Sigstore Slack, a lot of interest in Sigstore. It was like, it was not my intention for it to be like a PR marketing campaign, but I think it really brought a lot of visibility to Sigstore. And if there's anything, Hayden, that you think we could do to continue to amplify this, like, I'm happy to write a blog post. Patrick and I also discuss maybe submitting like a talk proposal to like Open Source Summit or Write the Docs or something like that too.
That all sounds fantastic. I was going to say, in the short term, if this hasn't already been tweeted out, you might want to ping the TSC Slack channel, and then they can just share a link to this.
Okay.
To get some more eyes on it. I think if you want to write a blog post too, just linking to this, that would be good too. I don't know if any other projects in the OpenSSF have done this, so that might also be an interesting blog post. Other projects in the OpenSSF might want to go through this process too.
Cool, yeah. That's good ideas, thanks.
Yeah, I'm so happy with the results of this. I mean, it went so well, and thank you again for everything you did throughout this process.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks also. I know that there's more work being done. I might reach out to Kara and see how things are going on the Google side for docs, because I know I think that the contractor that Google hired maybe is winding down now too.
Yes, he is.
Okay.
So yeah, I would reach out to Kara, and we can chat more too offline about this.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for all of your help too, Hayden, and everyone at Sigstore who might not be on this call right now.
Awesome. Cool. So I think there isn't any new outreach and events. There'll be some events, I guess, mid next year, around March, April, coming up. So I think the KubeCon CFP has closed. So we'll see the talks that get accepted for that. And I'll mention any Sigstore talks once we have that schedule. And then I guess the next major thing would be Open Source Summit, which is in Seattle this year. I expect we'll see some Sigstore or supply chain security talks there too. I think the last thing just to mention, next week's or 2 weeks from now, the community meeting is canceled. So I expect everybody will be off. But yeah, anything else on anyone's mind? Awesome. Well, I hope everybody has a very, very happy holidays.
Thank you. Happy holidays, everyone.